So hello everyone, my name is Shelly Willis. So if you are just tuning in, if you're tuning in live on Facebook, welcome to the June Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force, where our community blueprint is being laid and our voices are being galvanized. Over the last 4 months, we have been on a really deep and insightful diversity, equity, and inclusion and access journey. We really did a great 4-part series that really talked about and hit diversity in multiple areas and ways. And really, when you walk away from that, it really teaches us how we need to have that woven into our DNA. When something is in your DNA, it is a part of you. So it's not just something that we broad brushed as a community. We really wanted to sow into our community and into ourselves. We wanted to create a space for thought, and we wanted to really dive in and have difficult or courageous discussions around things that we either did not know of, made aware of, and things that within our organizations definitely probably need to be reevaluated and changed. But when you talk about DNA, it starts with you. So change always starts with you. I always say the ministry starts at home. So this is your home, and this is where change starts. And it doesn't mean that change happens in a day. It doesn't mean it happens in a month or a year, but little things to make progress towards change is what makes the difference. And as long as you're a part of the DNA that's making that change happen, you are amazing. And people watch more about what you do and listen less to what you say. So you can talk all day, but it's what they see you do that really impacts and grows the fabric and DNA that we want to weave into our community. So keep that as a point of thought in the back of your mind when you're doing what you do. So I want to welcome you to this task force meeting in the month of June, where we're focusing on mental health this month. And we have some great presenters that are going to come before you today. Our agenda was sent out a little late, but we have some great presenters today, and we have our group leaders in our specific areas that are going to update you on where they are and the work that they're doing. And you also get to start choosing and selecting where do you bring your best and highest value, and how can you start to be an active investor in this particular space. I haven't said it lately, but I normally let you know that this is not a space where we're having like this family reunion where we don't get together until we meet again. We are gathering consistently throughout the month in smaller groups, and then bringing that back to the larger table, which is this community task force effort, where we are able to share the work that we're being done. What you get to do if you're new to this space is to just kind of take it all in and soak it up. Tamara's going to talk to you today about onboarding, and you're going to hear about how you can connect with us so we can really be intentional about bringing you into the community fabric that we're weaving. And we'll also, if this is not your first time, we're bringing the organizations, the leaders, the pillar leaders back to the forefront so they can update you, and you can connect and see if that's a space that you want to be in or work in. So without further ado, it is Pride Month, and Dr. Cindy Caldwell has asked that she speak about Pride Month, and then after Cindy, we will turn it over to Jeff for our land acknowledgement, and then Tamar. Cindy?
Thanks, Shelly, and thanks for your background. So I'm hoping that my dogs that I'm dog sitting for will stay quiet. So this is Pride Month. Tacoma actually celebrates it in July because we don't want to compete with Seattle, but since everything is still mostly virtual, that's not so much of an issue. But I just want to bring your attention to some of the challenges, especially if we're going to be talking about mental health today, that so many of our queer people who identify as queer, and I use that word very deliberately because we've taken it back. It's not so much of an epithet anymore. And those people that are on the margins, many of our transgender, people of color especially, our queer youth, so many of them experience homelessness much higher rates than our normal youth do. Not normal, our non-identifying as queer youth. Also, suicide is much higher in our queer youth than it is in non-queer youth. So just to make you aware of that, and if you go to the Rainbow Center's website, which I will put in the chat, you can find places that you want to get involved, if you want to donate, if you want to be part of our Pride celebration. There are some things that are going on in Tacoma on July 10th, which is the beginning of Pride. So please be aware of how you can help, and let's see if we can't raise the awareness and raise the acceptance so that we can get our queer youth and queer people off their experiencing homelessness and out of some of the mental challenges that they face. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Good morning, everybody. And we pay our respect to the elders, both past and present, who have stewarded this land throughout generations. We also express our respect for all other displaced Indigenous peoples who call Pierce County home. These are original homelands of the Nisqually, Puyallup, Squaxin, Steilacoom, and Muckleshoot. It is important to move beyond acknowledgement and reflect on your own history that brought you to this place. This land acknowledgement is one small step in an ongoing commitment to improve our support of Indigenous communities in the area. And over to you, Tamar.
Good morning, everybody. Oh man, I don't know why I get stressed out like coming up to this event, but I always do because I get excited, and you know, it's just fun to see everybody here. Man, when we're talking about the task force, for those that may just be getting with us or starting to, you know, really see where they engage with us, the task force, to be honest, was built off relationships. It was built off of learning how to trust each other and work in different environments that we're not used to really work in. I don't know if you guys see the screen. We have so many different sectors, professionals, community members that typically we would not work together, and most of us know. I mean, Dan, when me and Dan met, it was like, how does Red Cross work with Workforce Development Council? Well, we figured out a way, and it's been a beautiful relationship ever since. So there's always something that all of us can do together if we're willing to open up and accept that we're not all in the same lane, but the lanes that we are in, we are great in those lanes. And we're going to continue to be great in those lanes. Because of that, we wanted to really go back to what that truly meant to a lot of us. Over the last month, we've had a lot of meetings with the leadership and, you know, just listening to what they were saying. You know, that was the piece that a lot of them missed, was getting to know each other. And because of the virtual world, we just haven't had time to really do that and really reach out to each other, get to know each other. So Jeff and I really decided to take onboarding back and make that something that was a lot more intimate with us. So when we have people joining the task force, they can actually connect with Jeff or myself. I know Jeff will be putting that link in the chat, but you'll be able to connect with us so that way we can spend time with you and really take you on the journey of where we've come as a task force, what we're doing as a task force, introduce you to the leaders of the task force before they even meet you, you know, so that way they know how to engage with you. They know how to bring you on, but before they even meet you, they'll already know what your superpowers are. They'll already know what you want to see change in this community, and they'll know the time that you have to commit, and that you'll already know what they're working on. So honestly, you can choose with your heart and you can choose with your feet where you want to go. Community outreach may be something that you do for your job, but guess what? You may want to be that person that wants to jump in with organizational structures, to work on policies, to work on how things are looking, or maybe just giving your strength over to the people's group when they're doing their speakers bureau and perfecting that. We're going to go ahead and get back to relationship. Make sure that when you come onto the task force, it is intentional and it is a place that you feel safe and that you call home. So I look forward to any of you that have not had an opportunity to get with Jeff or myself. Please reach out to us so that way we can truly just bring you on, talk to you, get to know who you are, so we can make sure that you are engaged with us the way this was meant for you to be engaged. And that was wholeheartedly coming as a person, not your organization. If you notice, most of you don't even have your organizations. You have a name. You are a person. And always remember that you make this work. Your organization just leverages the talent that you have to put into the community. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm excited to get to know every last one of you guys. We're here, we're doing a lot of great things. Man, it's a beautiful thing when I sit and I really think about it. So I look forward to working with every last one of you guys. I look forward to bringing you guys into this family, because that's what we have become as a family. And please do not feel a burden to reach out to any one of us that you see on this screen, because we are all doing different things in this community, but we're all doing them beautifully well, and we're going to continue to do that. Back to Shelly.
All right, that is great. So I hope that that kind of gave you some enlightened information on where we are. Just if this is your first time attending, can you just hit first time attending in the chat and just say first time? Jeff, I'm trying to watch and see. Okay, so is it Annie or Ahney? Ahney? Ahney. First time. Gina, Daniel, ShyAnn, Amelia. Okay. First time, Gail Neal. All right. Mac, it's your first time. Okay. All right. Welcome all of them to the family that they've identified it's their first time. We're not going to make you give, welcome and greetings or anything, so don't get stressed or nervous about it. But Turner, okay, it's your first time. Let us know. I'm just gonna, before we turn it over to our group leaders, I'm just gonna call on someone randomly, Amelia Perez, and just let us know why you decided to attend this time before we turn it over to our group leaders for updates.
Hi, my name's Amalia.
Amalia, thank you. Amalia, thank you.
Good morning, no worries, it happens a lot. So I am with the Multicultural Child and Family Hope Center with Turner and Gail. Can you guys hear me okay?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. I initially met with Tamar with the team here at Multicultural a couple weeks back, and it was really about, just like Tamar said, was relationship building, trying to build community. We have a lot of different programs under our center that reach out to the community and really do the same networking and service sharing that I think is the spirit behind the task force. And so we wanted to join and just see how our talents and our passions can benefit, and how we can just meet and connect with more people and grow the family and the community here in Pierce County.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. Daniel Wirth, just real quick, let us know what brought you to the task force.
All right, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Excellent. I watched Tamar give a presentation 6 or 8 months ago about some of the work that was happening. He was on a panel with a chamber presentation at one of the chamber events, and I was really moved by what he spoke about, and wanted to be a part of it. And I found some great connections and contacts and community here in Pierce County. So
thank you so much for joining us, Daniel. So I just want to do one more little icebreaker before we transition. If you have connected with someone and that connection resulted in a hire, let us know. Yvette, I see your hand up. Jeff, Amanda, yes. And so that connection, because you met someone here at the task force, right? So Yvette, do you mind sharing your story really quick about your connection through the task force?
Well, I work at the People's Group as a co-lead, and one of our sub meetings is the I5 Thrive, and Arthur Dennis, the executive director for the Dropout Prevention and Re-engagement Program, is also on that task force. And he said that he's seen my passion through the work that I was doing, and he wanted to just offer me a job and skip through the interview process because he's seen what I was able to do. And I'm just really excited because I get to now work with these young people and really change their lives at a more individualized level. I'm just so thrilled. The task force has been amazing. I've met so many great connections, and yes, I landed a job without even trying. I was just doing what I love. That's my
Wow, look at that. Community, community, community. I saw some other hands go up of folks that landed new opportunities by connecting through the task force. Who else wants to jump in and just share their story? Amanda?
So this is the funny part, and I gotta go now because of how it works. So after Yvette landed that job, apparently people kept talking about me. And so today I start there as well and was just offered the job, got a phone call, said, hey, I need you.
Okay.
So, and that's fun too, because I wasn't actively looking for a job. I was open to opportunities, but I mean, if you know me, my life is kids. So this is pretty exciting. First job in what, 5 years? Been a
Wow.
5 years.
Isn't that amazing? So Mr. Lawrence Garrett, what are our 3 C's?
Man, you just call me on the spot, huh? Just do it. So we have those who are contacts. I mean, they're part of the network. They have an interest, but they don't have much engagement, right? And then we've got those who are connected. They've got a strategic kind of alignment to the work that they're doing. It very much fits the kind of the work that we're doing here. And then we have the committed. And those are the people who go above and beyond. Many people in this room are the above and beyond. And so we're glad to have anyone, all folks that fall in committed, connected, or just a contact that's part of our network, because we need it all to see things thrive.
Thank you so much for sharing. So I want you to remember those 3 C's. Lawrence, if you could throw those in the chat. I think that that's a thought process. When Lawrence presented us with that back in 2019, when we were meeting face to face, I remember him standing up at a meeting we had back in 2019 when we used to gather physically, of course, and he walked us through and talked to us about those 3 C's. That's why, you know, it's not a family reunion type of thing. And so that's why I felt that it was important that, one, we identified the power of community and galvanizing voices and what that has meant for some people. And then if this is your first time attending, then we hope that it's not your last. We hope that you also sign up so that you can do proper onboarding, but just through these few testimonials, that you kind of see the power of the task force and how it's a part of our DNA, and how those 3 C's really can give you a different way of thinking when you're doing community work, and how we strive to really make a difference in, oh my goodness. Okay, so we have, Daniel, you are in Honolulu. Okay.
Yeah, good morning. It's extra early here. It's about 6:22 a.m. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. Oh my goodness. So do you want just give us a really quick snapshot of you? You're joining us from Honolulu. I think that's our furthest that we've had so far.
And you know what? Like everybody else who started out, I came through by way of Tamar. We connected on LinkedIn. I love his message. And I'm a Washington native, grew up in Seattle. My sister was in Tacoma, so I was always back and forth. And I'm passionate about just being of service to my community. Washington is still my community, even though I've relocated to this island. And I work with the Speakers Bureau. I'm a volunteer there. So yes, Amanda, and girl, I'm loving your new haircut. It is so cute. I just want to make sure you knew that I'm recognizing you.
Thank you. And thank you for all your work, you guys. She is amazing, and her speaker absolutely loves her.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us from Honolulu. So that sets the bar pretty high, Honolulu. All right. So if you know of others in other locations, other states who are trying to do the same thing that we're actively doing here, invite them into the room. Get them here. The table's big enough for everyone. If you work for a corporation, if you're in a agency or corporation that has a bigger view of what community engagement looks like, and you want them to actually see what you're doing as the community engagement outward-facing individual in your organization representing them, invite others to this table so they can see what we're doing every month. in the task force here in Pierce County in Washington State, and how it's just, that the bar is set. So now it's time to either meet or exceed the standard. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So, all right, so we're gonna turn it over in this order. Outreach, our leaders will give you an update and a synopsis of that. And then after outreach is complete, organization structures. And then the people's group, and I think that they have information on something that they're gonna share today. So leaders, I am gonna turn it over to you, and you can just go one after the other before we head into our mental health presentations today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shelley. Hi, my name is Kelly Blucher. I am with the Goodwill of the Olympics in Rainier Region and also co-lead the outreach group. I want to give a big shout out to my little girl today who's turning 4 years old, going on 40, I swear. But so excited for her birthday today. So the outreach group, whoo, what a summer like we have coming up. There is so much going on. It's nice to see things opening back up. So our next event we have planned is for June 30th. That will be held at Goodwill downtown, so at the Milwaukee Work Opportunity Center. That is a collaboration for a cause 4.0. I'm losing my numbers on that. So we are really looking for some assistance, not only with gathering resources, but volunteers, anybody who wants to jump in, has some new big ideas on how we can better serve our community. We are also in July, and I was scrolling through the list of names she's on here. I saw Carrie Ching. She can probably correct me on this date, but late in June, we are looking to partner with the East Side Family Support Center, right, Carrie? And do another event over on the East Side, which is going to be amazing. Super excited. And that will be a hybrid, I believe, a drive-through walk-up event in collaboration with so many other groups, Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department, and so many others that are just putting in some great efforts getting resources and services out in the community. We have an event coming up in August. We're still trying to lock down a location for that, really looking for somewhere like Asia Pacific Cultural Center, or further south, maybe like Spanaway Parkland area. That's open to any ideas that anybody in the group may have. And then in September, the new talk is to partner Hire 253 Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force with Project Homeless Connect in Peoples Park. I think that would be the largest collaborative event we have ever done. So super excited for that. So if you look for me this summer, I'm going to be out there doing a lot of events. We definitely need community help and community support. We are looking for sponsorship for these events, and certainly looking for anything that would help us get things out to the community. Our big ask right now is going to be in school supplies. As we look forward to these kiddos returning to school in September, we know that there's going to be a great need in our community for school supplies. So please, if you have a line on things like backpacks, notebooks, folders, yay, thank you. I saw that in the chat. That's awesome. Look, it's already working. We will arrange a drop-off location. And of course, anybody that's on the outreach committee is, for the most part, ready. We can also meet you and pick things up. So if you'd like to join our outreach subgroup, please do. Come on in. We need a lot of help in planning. This is a lot of big events going on. Another amazing thing we were talking about was joining with, you're probably familiar with these committees, the Equity Action Network, the Pierce County Coalition to End Homelessness, with the Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force, and probably trying to do multiple events on one day in several locations, which I think would be really amazing. But it is going to take all of us as a community to certainly pull off something like that. So again, if you'd like to join the outreach group, please get a hold of Tim Jumper, myself, Chloe, anybody at all on the outreach group, and we will hook you up. We would love to welcome you, and it's good to see everybody. I can't believe it's summer already. I know my house is super hot, so awesome. Thank you.
Hey, it's Chrisette from the Organizational Structures Group. We're excited. We just came off of the Lens of Equity mini series. And so we decided as a group just to sit back and regroup with everybody. So on June 25th, we will be having an in-person gathering just to kind of share ideas, brainstorm, vision cast, find out where we want to go in the future. And so we would love to hear everybody's voice in this that's a part of the group or even not part of the group. So if you're interested in coming and joining us, feel free to reach out to myself or Dr. Caldwell, and we'll get you invited and get you the details. Other than that, we're just really looking forward to connecting and helping businesses and organizations thrive in their DEAI journey. And the hope is instead of businesses really looking at how do we start with the 101, how do we get them to 102, 103, advanced, and let's make sure that these organizations have the tools that they need in order to be successful and support all of their team members. So because I have spotty service, that's all I'm going to add. Dr. Caldwell, if you have anything else to add for the group, please do. But I am going to pass it over.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda with the People's Group. And so we're kind of going back a little bit, and just to re-explain our education pods, it's basically we're trying to connect with programs similar to Arlington House in order to create a position for families to come in childcare together while getting a childcare certification, and kind of help them get jobs and support each other as they go through these programs. We have a lot of wonderful options available for us in which path to take this, and we would love to get some more brain power in here and just kind of push this initiative forward. As far as the Bureau goes, I mean, it's wonderful as always. We got our pictures done. The website should be up and running here soon. As we end that, the big ask for the Bureau is, I mean, if you're sitting there and you're talking to one of your coworkers or friend, and they're talking about they're having an event, get the Speakers Bureau on there. Our speakers are phenomenal. They are ready to talk. Some have already done a couple of events, and not only will it change your life, but this is changing these speakers' lives. I have gotten the most phenomenal feedback from them and how this has helped them progress. And so let's just get them speaking, guys. We're in a position we can pay them for it now too. So let's get these guys paid. And with that, Jeff, you want to do the update for I-5 Thrive?
Sure thing. So I-5 Thrive is an initiative that we are going to pick back up here in about 2 weeks. We took a little bit of a break, and we are going to try to really figure out how to move that forward. The whole idea behind I-5 Thrive was really trying to figure out how to be kind of the connective tissue for, the I-5 corridor, in the sense of connecting young adults to work opportunities and different resources that don't normally get that chance. And we do that by networking. We do that by knowing, utilizing and leveraging our contacts within the group, and just really trying to figure out a better way to connect all those resources to people that don't normally have the opportunity to get a job or some of these better opportunities that are out there. So that's what that is. If you have any questions or you would like to be a part of that, let me know. Like I said, we're going to be meeting in 2 weeks. So, yeah.
And real quick too, just to jump on Amanda's, when we're talking about the Speakers Bureau, just so you guys know, we've realized that a lot of programs are built without lived experience and asking the demographics that the program's trying to be built for. If you're trying to have a homeless program and you don't ask those that have experienced homelessness, but you go to Kentucky, bring back a program that you saw online that does not fit our demographics, how does that support what is going on? And a year later, we done wasted $300,000 on something that never took off in the first place because our demographic was not involved in that discussion. So as these speakers are coming on board, that's why the Speakers Bureau was built in the first place. So we can start getting people with lived experience to be able to be at the table when these programs are being built, when they're being discussed, when we are talking about certain things. And it's not just homelessness. So please don't get that in your head. It's military transitioning, it's addiction, it's abuse, it's many things that these speakers are being built and supported to be able to talk and tell their story. So these that are coming on, giving us their superpower and coaching and teaching and supporting, they're building their voice to level it up. So that way the task force can support them and get them into the tables and at the tables that they're usually not at in the first place. So when you're thinking about a program being built, think about the task force, think about the speakers, and see who can come and be at that table to truly support why that program is being built.
Thank you, Tamar.
Okay, so let's get this meeting kicked off. When we were trying to figure out what to do for the June meeting, mental health was one of the big topics. And so the People's Group basically took over the meeting and put this thing together. And the whole idea around the People's Group is to not only, provide better services or figure out how to provide better services for the community, but also to support all of our providers that are doing the work. And with all of the different offices and workplaces that are starting to open back up, there's a lot of kind of anxiety around that. We don't necessarily know what it's going to be like. It's going to be different than when we left. And it's also a place that we don't necessarily control with all the new regulations and all of that. So that's why we put this together. That was the whole premise around it. So sit back, relax, and I'm going to turn it over to Lynn Willis for our kind of acknowledgement, and then I will let Ahney King from Beacon Health Options take it from there and start our presentations.
Good morning, and I wanted to share with you a self-care acknowledgement. Self-care is a space you create for yourself to re-energize as a community caregiver. Each one of us care for our community, and sometimes along the way we've forgotten to take care of ourselves. Give yourself time and space to heal spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Learn to rejuvenate. You're worth healing and balance, and it's your responsibility to engage in it. Learn to take as much time as you give others. Embrace one thing that brings you joy. And I thought this was a very important statement that Tony Cloud said. If you don't manage your wellness, you will be forced to manage your illness. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. And Ahney King, are you ready?
I'm here.
Perfect. We'll let you take it from here.
I'm going to apologize because there's noise going around outside because they're power washing my apartment building, and my dogs, any noise they hear, they will start barking. So I'll apologize in advance for my dogs. So my name is Ahney King. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator at Beacon Health Options. Am I okay to share my screen?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay. Everybody see my screen okay?
Yep.
And are you seeing my little presentation, or are you seeing the big presentation covering the screen?
We're seeing the little presentation.
Okay, let me fix that. Technical difficulties always, right?
And while you're doing that, I did share her presentation slide in the chat. So if anybody wants to download that, it is available.
If I can get my controls up for some reason. Let's try it over here. Sorry. Leave it to me. Well, it's not giving me that screen. How rude is that? Oh, wait, maybe this? No. All right, I'm just going to use my little screen because it's not letting me do it. Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, so I'm here to talk about Beacon and what we kind of offerings that we have, as well as behavioral health and some self-care stuff. So let's see, too many screens. So I wanted to share our mission and values because it's something that I'm actually really proud of. Are you guys seeing it big enough, or do I need to make it bigger?
I think you got to reshare.
Oh, okay. There.
Perfect.
Okay. And so I wanted to share our mission and values. I'm actually really kind of invested here. I've had my fair share of jobs, different things, working with courthouse, working with a managed care organization. And this by far is the best mission I've ever had at an organization, because I think that we all have the potential to live to our fullest. But sometimes we just need a little bit of help finding what our potential is. So it's really important to me. So I wanted to share that. And I wanted to give you guys a little bit of background because I think it's beneficial to understand kind of where Beacon came from. So back in 2016, with the expansion of Medicaid, Washington State, all of the states were granted permission to integrate healthcare, so behavioral health, substance abuse, and mental health in the way they saw fit for their region and for their state. In the state of Washington, we gave all the regions until January of 2020 to fully integrate. And the regions, I think there's 8 of them, all have about the same population size. So King and Pierce are regions in and of themselves, whereas Spokane has most of the northeastern side of the state. So if that helps out a little bit with giving you I should have thrown the map in here. So in 2019, Pierce County became fully integrated. Prior to 2019, it was Pierce Optum, which was the behavioral health organization. And in 2019, it separated into Medicaid and to an administrative service organization. So Medicaid, there are 5 providers. All 5 of the Medicaid providers that we have across the state are available in our region. So that is Coordinated Care, AmeriGroup, Molina, United, and Community Health Plan of Washington. So looks like maybe I have a question. Oh, my notes are showing up. I don't know how to get them off the screen since I can't show I can't make it go away. So you guys are going to see my notes too. So Beacon oversees, the long and short of it is we oversee the state dollars as well as federal block grant dollars. And I'm going to go to my next screen. Oh, maybe I should have done them in a different order. One of our biggest parts of our contract is the crisis line. So crisis line is 24/7, 365. It's always available. The crisis line can help people who are in crisis for mental health as well as substance abuse. Actively intoxicated, they'll help them. They have designated crisis responders. They have licensed clinicians. They have peers, which peers, for those of you who are unsure or don't know what that word is, they're individuals with lived experience that are there because their lived experience gives them an expertise in helping an individual in a similar type crisis. So the important thing for you guys to know is right now there's a 1-800 number, and that's the 1-800-576 number that you see on the screen. Later this year, because it did just pass in this legislative session, the crisis line will be changing to 988. Now, here's what I think is really cool. Similar to 911, people will be able to call 988 no matter where they are in our country, and they will be routed to the local crisis line. I think that's pretty cool because if you're visiting a friend and you don't know how to get a hold of their crisis line and somebody's in crisis, you know the number now. So this will be a nationwide crisis line number. I'm not sure, they haven't set an exact date of when it'll take effect in Washington, but the federal government said by the end of the year, everyone will use that as their crisis line. I do want to share with you, bring it up. Oh, I closed it on accident. I want to share with you our crisis line video because I'm actually really proud of it. I think it's a really cool video. So let's see if I have no technical difficulties for this. Fingers crossed on this one. Okay.
If you or a loved one.
Okay. And I know I have to share, maybe. We're going to try it and see if it works this way. If you guys can hear my video, I'll start it and stop it. There's music in the very beginning. So can you guys hear it?
You or a loved one are in need of immediate help.
Click audio share.
Yes, we can hear it.
Oh, you can hear it? Okay. And you guys can see the video over here? Okay. I'm going to start it over. There we go.
I'm not getting any audio now. I don't know if anybody else isn't.
Okay, some people are not getting it. Okay, sorry. Okay, now it says it's sharing sound.
If you or a loved one
Is that better?
Perfect.
are in need of immediate help for a mental health or substance use disorder crisis, you may not know where to turn. You may feel all alone. You might be so desperate that you go to a hospital emergency department for help. But here's something that may surprise you. Caring behavioral health clinicians are available right in your community. You don't have to go through the stress and inconvenience of going to the hospital emergency department to get the care you need. In Pierce County, you have access to our crisis line and mobile crisis teams. We're available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, including holidays. Just one phone call from the comfort of your home or wherever you are provides direct access to behavioral health clinicians and peers who really listen to what you're going through. We are experts in connecting you to the exact type of care you need, up to and including inpatient hospitalization if necessary. When you call, a team member may come to meet you right where you are, in your home, a provider's office, or another location in the community. We can even do a phone or video visit with you. Most of the time, we can do this within an hour of your call, so you can access the supports you need, including help in a crisis, without going to the hospital emergency department. We also provide direct referrals to mental health counseling, substance use services, and other community resources available to you. We are your local crisis team, and we offer a personalized, non-judgmental, and coordinated approach to care that you can access quickly. Call us to get the help you or your loved one needs, right when you need it. When you call, we'll be here.
So I'm actually really proud of that video. I think that it was done in a very tasteful, approachable manner. The way we run crisis in Pierce County, Beacon also has the Southwest region, which is Klickitat, Skanania, and Clark counties, and North Central, which, and I'm going to miss one, Chelan, Douglas, and Okanagan, and I'm missing one. So we do have all of those regions. We're one of the only regions, those 3 regions are the only ones that you can call this number. You're not going to be sent to the emergency room, which I think is really cool about the way we do these things. So I'm going to go to my next slide. Here's some other things that we do and we cover here in Pierce County, and well, all the regions do for the administrative service organizations. So I'm going to give a shameless plug for the Family Youth System Provider Roundtable. This is a really cool group. We bring together families, youth, and system providers, just like it says. And we talk about, similar to what we do here, what you guys are doing here, what is available in the region, what can help, allow youth to talk about what they're facing and what they need to help them be successful. My shameless plug is, you attend, we give you a gift card for attending because we appreciate your time. I think that's really cool. When we go back to face, we bring in pizza, we bring in food so that families can eat, because it is a late afternoon meeting. It goes from 4 to 5:30. If you guys are interested, please come join. You can, my email is going to be at the end. You're welcome to email me. I'll send you the invitation. But the gift card goes for the youth that attends. It goes for the family member attends. System providers do not get it. But if you're not attending as your system provider position, you're attending as a family member, then you will get it. The Behavioral Health Advisory Board is a community-driven board, and they're the ones who tell us how to spend the block grant, which is the substance abuse and mental health block grants that come from the federal government, to fill gaps in the system. Criminal justice treatment account is those filed on by a prosecutor or those enrolled in a drug court. This does include housing for people that qualify for that. The behavioral health ombuds, they are people who take complaints. You have a bad experience with a mental health provider, a substance abuse provider, and you need help on how to navigate the system, or you just need to talk to somebody about that bad experience. Michelle and Francine are our behavioral health ombuds here in the region, and they'll help you. Children's long-term inpatient is for youth that are in a crisis. Their parents are struggling, their providers, they've done everything they can to help this youth. And the only option left is to put them in inpatient. The bad part about CLIP right now is there's a 6-month waiting list, which makes it really hard because we have to make sure that that youth has lots of support while we're waiting for that bed to open. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, which could be interest to all of you, is we will help individuals who do not qualify for Medicaid or Medicare, either one. We will help that individual with getting access to behavioral health, so mental health, substance abuse. There are people who don't qualify that, let's be honest, really should qualify. And they don't qualify and they can't get access. And there's people who are undocumented who cannot get access because the federal government says they can't have access. So we will help those individuals because they need to be helped as well. So I wanted to throw that out. This is my fun little slide. So I took kids mental health first aid training a couple weeks ago. And one of the things that the trainer did is she had wiggle slides. We are all dealing with Zoom fatigue. And so sometimes it's nice just to take 5 seconds and look away from our computer screens and move around and feel comfortable enough to do that. So I wanted to throw a wiggle screen in so all of you had a break for a second of looking at everything. Thanks, Amanda. She's wiggling for me. Okay, so I'm going to go to my next slide. So I want to, and I've been keep saying behavioral health, and so I'm going to get into a little bit more information. I want to make sure that all of you realize, and you're all educated individuals, so you probably, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But behavioral health isn't just, and mental health isn't just for individuals who have a diagnosis. We all need to take care of ourselves and our mental health. And what it looks like for everyone is different. If somebody who has a diagnosis, there's a bunch of different things that they can do: medication, therapy, group therapy, support groups. It's important to note that that doesn't work for everybody, and everybody's plan is going to look different. So I just want you guys to acknowledge that your mental health looks very different. Another chat. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that. One of the things that, and my next slide is going to talk about this, that I think is really important to maintain our mental health is self-care. So self-care is one of those things that you take 5 minutes to yourself. We're all busy, and sometimes it's really easy, especially when we're sitting at home, to not take care of ourselves and not take those 5 minutes to take care of ourselves. Simple things like going for a walk, getting on the phone and talking to a friend. You know, we can't be face to face with our friends right now because we want to keep everybody safe, but making a phone call. Some of you, it might be going to church. Sometimes it might be sitting down and reading a book. All that matters is you're taking care of yourself and that you are giving yourself space to relax and just get away from everything. And I will tell you personally, and this is probably just my personal thing, when you go for a walk, leave your phone at home. Your phone calls can be returned when you get home. That's not taking a break. That's not self-care by taking your phone with you. When you do this self-care thing, unless you're making a phone call to a friend, just leave it. Leave it for 5 minutes. So that's my point of view. So I wanted to throw that out. I know I had 20 minutes and I got 4 minutes to 10. So anybody have any questions for me they want to ask? All right, so I'm guessing that's a no. That is my contact information. That is my, oh, maybe not. That is my cell phone number, my email. I pride myself on getting back to people with emails and not leaving people hanging. If I don't know the answer to your question, I pride myself on finding the answer to your question. So please feel free to email me. Down at the bottom is the link to our website. And on there, you'll see notes for things like what we call the Crisis Collaborative. You'll see notes from the Behavioral Health Advisory Board and from the FISBRT. We do publish all of our notes online. So without any other questions, I think I'll hand it back over to Jeff.
Thank you. Real quick, when does the 988 take effect?
They have not set a date for that yet. That's something that, from what I understand, the budget is still getting fine-tuned. So that will be, I'm understanding this month the budget will be fine-tuned. So I'm sure we'll have a date sometime this month. And as soon as I know the date, I'll share it with you guys and you can let everybody know. There will be a transition period where both our 1-800 works.
Oh, did we lose her?
Nope, here I am.
Oh, there you are.
So I don't know what you heard from what I said, but there will be a transition time. They're still fine tuning the budget. So sometime this month, I'm sure they'll give us a date of when it'll take, but there will be a transition period where both numbers work.
Got it. Great.
So when I know, I'll send you an email and let you know.
Okay, please do. So that way we can put it out on the different Facebook pages. Thank you so much, Ahney King. Everybody, we can give her a round of applause for her presentation really quick. Thank you so much. Great info. that was my first time learning about beacons, so I really appreciate that. And ShyAnn, are you and Elizabeth ready by chance?
We are here. We are ready.
Perfect. Okay, so I will turn it over to ShyAnn, Keenan, and Elizabeth Allen from the health department. And they are also doing the mental health first aid training that you've probably heard quite a bit about. So excited for that. And I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I was actually going to have Elizabeth go first if she is available.
Yep, I am ready. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I do have a fan going in the background because I don't know if you're getting warm where you are, but it's been a little warm the past couple of days. So glad that we can join you this morning. Thank you so much for having us. So I'm Elizabeth Allen. I work at the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department. I am the Behavioral Health Policy Coordinator for the Health Department. So I take on anything related to behavioral health, which behavioral health is part of mental health, as well as looking at substance misuse. So, and we happen to know Ahney very well. We've been working with her over at Beacon. So I'm glad for all the connections this morning. And then once I'm done talking, I'm going to turn it over to my wonderful, wonderful colleague, ShyAnn, to tell you a little bit more about mental health first aid and how you can sign up. So May was Mental Health Awareness Month, if you didn't know, and we were celebrating all month long, but we want to make sure everybody celebrates mental health all year long. And one of the great things that the health department's been able to offer through some CARES funding is no-cost mental health first aid trainings. So if you haven't heard about mental health first aid before, I've got a little bit of information here for you. Mental health first aid is a training that anybody can take, any adult 18 and over. You don't have to be in the profession or any specific profession, I should say, around mental health. If you're interested in mental health or understanding mental health more, or wanting to support a coworker, a loved one, a friend, mental health first aid is a great class to take. So what is mental health first aid? Basically, what you get to learn in this class is the difference between substance misuse, mental health, where those things intersect. It's a skills-based training course that teaches participants about mental health and substance issues so that you can feel more confident about having general conversations with people around mental health, good and bad. It might be one of those courses that you take that makes you feel more empowered to talk to a loved one about the concerns you might have around possibly anxiety or depression. It might be able to help you interact with coworkers or clients better. I love the course so much that I went ahead and became a certified instructor. So I teach classes. And then we also have a great connection with other instructors throughout Pierce County, which is really nice. We really try hard to make sure our instructors are from the area and understand maybe some of the circumstances or dynamics that we have unique in Pierce County and the Puget Sound area. So again, mental health first aid, it's a lot like first aid. If you've ever taken a first aid class and gotten to know how to help somebody that maybe has gotten physically injured, this talks about how to help somebody that might be going through some mental health challenges and understanding the basics. Again, this course is not about trying to train anybody to become a practitioner or to start offering people medication. This is just a way to get to know more about the different mental health challenges that are out there and what are some of the myths versus some of the reality of mental health. A lot of reducing stigma, if you will, around mental health, which is fantastic. So some of the goals that we have at the health department around mental health first aid, and again, I'm a huge advocate of mental health first aid, is not only do we hire local instructors to teach the classes, but we're also working on getting a more diverse group of instructors. About a year ago, I was looking at the instructor list, which we do list on our website, on our health department website, and I noticed, of course, I know everybody on the list, and I realized that about 97% of those folks were white, and I thought, oh dear, we need a better representation for our Pierce County folks out there. And that's when I started, this crusade, if you will, to get more instructors of a diverse background onto our list. So that's what I'm working on right now, actually, is we finally have some funding. And we have about 12 people going through the instructor course right now. It's a 3-day intensive 10-hour course to become a certified instructor. And then we will have folks that I am hoping will reflect our community a little bit more. And what is also exciting about this is that then we're able right now, with the funding that we have through the health department, we're able to pay these instructors who live and work in Pierce County. So I'm very excited about all that. There's 2 classes that are being offered right now through the health department. There's youth and there's adult mental health first aid. Youth mental health first aid is for anybody who is working with youth. Adult mental health first aid is just a very general working with anybody type of class. Both classes are very, very similar. Again, there's just that little piece with the youth that I would say probably about an hour, hour and a half more discussion around particularly how to interact with youth. But both classes are pretty much the same format. So I'm really hoping that you will be interested in joining us for one of these trainings. We're also working on getting more funding available. My ultimate goal with mental health first aid is that we have a class that is being taught every month at the health department. So that's my goal, is that you're going to be able to eventually look on the health department's webpage and know that the 3rd Thursday of every month, you can take a mental health first aid class. Because my ultimate big goal up here is that organizations and agencies will start having mental health first aid as a typical training that you would take when you first come on board, part of the orientation. I think it's just a really useful training to have for any organization, while it's a private one, while it's a nonprofit. So that's my big goal out there, is someday the organizations will have mental health first aid training for every new employee that comes on. So another really interesting program, just to let you know, that has just been created through mental health first aid through the National Council of Behavioral Health is called Teen Mental Health First Aid. Now, I just told you there's youth and adult classes available. Teen Mental Health First Aid is something completely different. And what that is it's generally a youth serving organization. 10% of their employees would be trained in youth mental health first aid. And then they would be like a hub to teach teens about mental health first aid, so that those teens then can become peer supports in their community, which I think is probably long overdue, but especially now with COVID and the stress of COVID, we need youth to be able to support one another. And this is a great program for that. So it's just started up, but it's a very, very unique program, and obviously very, very needed in our communities. So we're hoping to continue to be able to provide no cost mental health first aid classes. And we're hoping then to also offer some specialized mental health first aid classes to unique groups. There are mental health first aid classes, particularly for people who are law enforcement or EMS. There's also one that can be done in Spanish. And there is one particularly for the Black community that touches on historical trauma for Black community. So I'm hoping that we can continue to offer more and more of these unique classes, as well as just the general youth and adult mental health first aid classes. And another goal of mine is that we have a certified instructor at every school district, so that they can continuously teach the staff and other supports for the students. So anyways, those are some long-term goals that we have, but happy to answer any questions about mental health first aid. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to ShyAnn, and she can talk to you more about how to get registered for the classes, either for yourself or if you know somebody that might be interested. But more the merrier. We would be really, really happy to see you at one of these trainings. So thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate you. Hi, everyone. My name is ShyAnn. I'm with Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department as well, and I am helping everyone sign up for these mental health first aid classes. So the classes will teach you how to apply the ALGE action plan, which is assess for risks of suicide or harm, listen non-judgmentally, give reassurance and information, encourage appropriate professional help, and encourage self-help and other support strategies. Now, these classes are very universal, and I recommend everyone to take them. The people who should be taking this course are employers, police officers, hospital staff, first responders, faith leaders, community members, and caring individuals. And somehow I feel like that applies to a lot of you. And, thank you for having us, by the way. And so signing up is very simple. All you need to do is email me, and I will put my email in the chat. And just let me know you would like to take the adult or youth courses. If you have any questions about them, I am more than happy to answer any questions. And then from there, I can give you the dates of the classes happening in June. These classes do fill up quickly, so I do recommend that if you are interested and you would like to attend, please email me as soon as you can. There is a 2-hour pre-coursework session that can be done at your own pace. It will be needed to be completed before the course takes place, just to catch you up with what they're going to be teaching you and give you as much information as they possibly can in that short amount of time. There's only about one class, but it's a few hours long. So you just want to make sure that you have time for that and that you can commit. But the health department is paying for all of this, so it's free and it's very available. And we're hoping to, like Elizabeth said, get them more integrated. So even if you can't attend these, please let me know and I can put you on a wait list and I can contact you when they're available again. But thank you for having me today, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. If you have a chance, if there's any kind of one-pagers or flyers for that mental health first aid, if you could drop that in the chat, that would be great too. And don't forget to put your email address. So thank you. Everybody give them a round of applause for the presentation and the information. Thank you. All right, so our next step is we're going to jump into a little interactive mentee survey to kind of talk about first aid and answer some different questions before we jump into some breakout rooms. So I'm going to let Amanda take it away.
Where's my share your screen button? That's what I want.
I can make you co-host.
Probably have to make her a co-host.
Did it pop up?
Yes. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so if you have not used Menti before, it's an interactive kind of presentation. We're going over some questions. And so at the top, if you go to menti.com and put in the code for the presentation, that is how you will be answering the questions. And then it'll do some fun stuff with that. Let me see. I put in the chat also earlier a link straight to it. Anyways, so the first question is, what does mental health look like to you? When you sign into Menti, you should have an option to put in 3 one-word answers, and then just go ahead and send it in and we'll watch them all come in. As these answers come in, I really want you to take a moment to look at the differences in all of these different answers and what it means to each individual. And I really want to highlight that mental health isn't always a bad thing. It's also a good thing. And sometimes too much of a good thing can also be a bad thing. So it's really this interesting crossroad of just trying to find a proper amount of balance is what I'm getting from everybody's answers coming in. We'll go ahead and move on to the next question now that we've gotten a lot of amazing answers for that one. Make sure this works. Boom. So what self-care methods do you use? And this is a very important question because there are so many different methods that you can do. I am a big fan in finding alternative ways to become happy. I know I'm big on like acupuncture and massages. When you get a massage, you can actually, there's special techniques to do that release the stress and tension inside yourself. And that's something that, you know, you may not think about for mental health. You think about for your body's health, but mentally, it's amazing too. Let's see, we got some reading, journaling, yoga, working out, all amazing things. I know self-care also looks different in between cultures. So for example, it's my husband's Native American, and you know, traditionally within the tribes, they would see their spiritual advisor or, you know, their medicine man, depending on which tribe and their title for it, because that's all different. But, you know, they do a lot of work with a spiritual guide who takes them through relaxation practices and talks to them about it, which is amazing because that's what works for them, right? Let's see what else we got in here. Social time, that is amazing. Prayer. Connection. That's an interesting one. Okay, so we can go ahead and move on to the next one here. So this one's kind of fun. It's a quiz, and so here we want to know if mental health is adequately supported in the workplace for you. And it should have a little thing to pop up. You can select your answer, and we'll give it a few minutes, and then after the answers come in, we'll kind of take a look at that and see how many people feel that it is supported in the workplace. Because a major part of the people's group is to take care of our providers. And so this will kind of help give us a sense of if this is something we need to be working on right now. Do we need to be advocating for mental health discussions more so in the workplace than already is there? And we'll go ahead and do a dive deeper into that in the breakout rooms. But for now, we just kind of want to know, do you feel content with the mental health discussions in your workplace?
Amanda, do you, it says the voting is closed and I can't see it on my phone.
Does it? Because it doesn't on my end. See, let's try this. It says it's open. could have interrupted me sooner, you know.
I was trying to get it to reload on my phone to see. Is anybody else having trouble?
I am too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it says that it's closed on my end as well.
Mine say that the presenters need to activate it.
I don't know what it's doing now.
This is our first mentee on here, so.
Well,
people put
when I did the
their thoughts in the
run
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely put responses in the chat if you want. The nice thing about this is that it was confidential. Try opening the remote over here. I don't know if you're all still seeing this or not, but
we are.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is that you have to have the remote open on a different screen in order to work. Otherwise, you don't get the presentation like that. Of course, it wants to load really slowly. So I have the remote on my other screen. Okay. So it's not communicating between screens. That's what's happening here. Okay, is that working out for you guys?
No.
See, okay, so maybe we won't do the quiz part, and maybe we'll just talk about it in the break rooms.
That works.
I've opened and closed the voting several times. I don't know.
No worries.
Okay. I can stop sharing, I guess, then, huh?
Well, thanks for doing that. That was, I kind of tasked Amanda that with the last minute, and she had to learn that, and that was our first mentee. So thanks for trying that. We just really wanted to see, as we were talking about this, Ty Reed and Amanda brought up the idea of, what does mental health look like to everyone else? Or when they hear the word mental health, what does it look like in your mind? And it's different for everybody. And so that's what kind of started that. And it was cool to see the different words that came out and how it related to everybody. And with that, we're going to go into the breakout rooms, but I also just wanted to mention too that, on the task force website, we are going to start a resource section for mental health, just like we did for the lens of equity. We're going to put some resources on there that talks about, just anything that we feel is relevant. Whatever the group wants to share in there, you can email it to me. If it's self-care tips, if it's the training or anything like that, just let us know. I know Lynn Willis sent in these self-care wheels, and I have one of them in the chat here. Thanks for doing that, Lynn. So we want to start that resource area. So if you have anything, please send it in. Maybe Ahney or ShyAnn or Elizabeth, if you have any kind of one-pager PDFs or anything that you can send my way, that would be great too, just so we can start to put those together for everybody. Okay. So we are going to go into some breakout rooms and do about 6 of them. Amanda, can you put in the chat our questions for me real quick?
Hey, Jeff, a couple of people are going to hang out with Tamara and I in the lobby.
Okay. Perfect.
And for those that are just jumping on, when you go into a breakout room, your discussion is private. It is not shown, streamed live. That's why we do have the lobby, so we can still continue to talk because people are still looking and watching. But when you're in the breakout rooms, that is your time to really have those discussions and really talk amongst friends and family. So please feel free to really engage in this conversation. I know it's very important to all of us. And so we just really want to make sure that it's beneficial for you to be able to talk to other people that may be experiencing things that you're experiencing as well.
Almost ready here. erased all of my assignments.
Technology is just not our friend today.
It is not.
It is not our friend today.
It's okay. So I just kind of want everybody to just take a moment and just kind of take a deep breath, inhale, and just kind of exhale while Jeff's getting ready. Just kind of ground yourself and plant yourself. I also want to do a shameless plug for Soul Seeds for Melanie. If you want to connect with her, I want Melanie to, if she's still on here, I think she is, to put her information in the chat. If you want to talk about different techniques that you can use to ground and center yourself, if you don't have anything that you practice, if you don't use any apps like the Calm app or anything like that to kind of like set yourself, and just putting some things into play around, you know, consistency so that you have building blocks towards those intentional efforts of self-care and, you know, really seeding your mental health and just being aware. And also being able to have additional resources to offer others. So I don't know if Melanie from Soul Seeds is still on here, but they have some great, she has some great tools. She just recently did a session with us as well. So if not, we'll plug her as well, plug their organization. They have a great organization that does a lot of great work around that space, and techniques are everything. So that's really good to be able to have those things to put into practice. Are we ready, Jeff?
We are ready, and the questions are in the chat.
Okay.
So here we go.
All right. See you soon. So we have who? We have Ahney. We have Dr. ShyAnn Banks. We have, you said we're going to have Corbett and Matt join us?
Yeah. Matt and Tolik should be coming with us. So should Corbett.
I don't know if Corbett's on. I can't find his name.
I didn't see Corbett either. No.
We'll just, yeah, Matt will be fine.
Okay. All right. So we are in the lobby, and we're gonna have us just a, hey, Matt. Matt is here. We have Ahney and we have Dr. Banks here. Yes. So, all right, thanks for joining us in the lobby. If you don't mind coming on screen, that'll help us so that way we can have a really good live conversation. I always love having my people on. I mean, somebody throwing shots. I don't know, we got these baseball caps going on. What's going on? I'm just saying, somebody's throwing shots.
I'm just saying, both Chicago Cubs and the Sox are in first place. So, you know, it's just,
I mean,
gotta
can we
represent.
just have a moment without the shots being fired? I don't think so. You and Lawrence Garrett don't miss a beat, okay? You and Lawrence Garrett shoot your shots every time you have opportunity. So I don't know how much time we have, but I would love to, one real quick, Matthew, Ahney, Dr. Banks, please introduce yourself. Matthew, we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Matthew Antolik. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I live right across the street from Tamar, so I'm here through connections with him, and he invited me to be a part of this discussion. Let me know that you're covering mental health, and yeah, really looking forward to it. So
excellent. Ahney?
So like I said earlier, Ahney King, I'm the community engagement coordinator at Beacon Health Options, and Tamar is the one that got me connected. He heard me at another meeting. So it's Tamar's fault.
It's Tamar's fault. Dr. Banks.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. ShyAnn Banks. I'm assistant professor at Green River College, and I also have published research on trauma. I wrote a whole research, did a correlational study on trauma. What brought me here is all three of these wonderful folks, Jeff Wolf, Tamar, Big Bro, Big Sis Shelly. So I've been locked in for a minute, even outside of the Pierce County Task Force. So great to be here.
Thank you for joining us. So if you're watching us on Facebook, you know, this is the lobby. We are right now currently in the midst of a breakout session. So I don't want to prolong it any longer. So when we, you know, talking about mental health, self-care, when we kind of had I joined in on a meeting about this, and one of the questions that I posed to the group when you think about overall wellness, so it's less about your situation. So, one thing that I noticed that people tend to do is just sit in that space of being unwell or needing assistance or not knowing how to, come out of that. Like, what are the processes and what's their journey going to look like? And so I kind of wanted to ask this question. As we've been in this COVID moment, we've had Zoom fatigue, we've been, meeting virtually, we've been very disconnected. If you were already struggling, with your mental health, if you were seeing a counselor, I know me for myself, when I retired from the military and I got a counselor, the worst thing that happened to me was losing that counselor and having to talk and relive my trauma all over again. And I just didn't want to do it. So I found another way to become well, and not have to relive my trauma by reintroducing myself to counselor after counselor after counselor every time, right? So I guess in my mind, as we were having this conversation, Jeff, the question I asked the group was, how do you define rest? And so for in all of your professional opinions, let's kind of just talk around that, some of the things I just talked about, and how do you define rest? What do you tell people? What advice do you give them? How do you mentor or coach coach them into finding a place of rest?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, just jump in there.
Rest is, for me, a nap, right? Like that, when we talked about that kind of resonated with me. But like, I don't really know how to rest, right? Like, I think that's kind of been an interesting thing about talking about mental health and getting ready for this, like just reminding myself what that is. And I would say a mental, like a 20-minute power nap where you just disconnect from everything and you just let yourself be, would be kind of what, that's what I've discovered would be my rest.
Matthew?
Yeah, it's interesting. When you were talking, I realized I usually conceptualize rest in at least two ways. It's this end state that people in therapy are trying to reach. Like, I think everybody wants to sort of inhabit or occupy or live out of this more restful place. And so that's reducing tensions, processing trauma, reducing overall anxiety. And so there's that definition of it. And then there's more of the real time finding a place of rest in these moments where, for example, like most of the work I do, I've worked in lots of different segments, but right now it's relational conflict, but it's almost always anxiety management inside of relational conflict. So it's like, how is anxiety, how is being triggered, how is the body, the nervous system, in combination with the beliefs we hold about the other person, right? And the kind of thoughts that tend to happen when we're thinking anxiously. And so finding rest in the middle of that, recognizing I'm in a place, this is something I say all the time in sessions, like, how can we get to a place where I realize the next thing that comes out of my mouth is most likely going to be accusatory or destructive? Because when we're in that anxious place, vision is very narrow. I've got a tunnel vision on what's wrong. And so I think being in this place of rest also, we're talking about just having that wider perspective where you're able to see, what's wrong, but not at the expense of everything else that's good, to see the broader picture of reality. Because when we're anxious and we're triggered and we're firing off, the vision is very narrow. And I can only see, we've all had that experience, like being in an argument, going to bed, getting up and being like, why was I so angry? I don't even really know what the big deal was. Now that I've had, like you said, Jeff, a good night's sleep, like it makes a huge difference. So just gaining that more restful perspective. So so it's about stopping activity, but it's also about being in this place that no matter what I'm doing, I'm coming out of this place of restfulness, not just always anxiously engaging all the time.
Thank you. Dr. Banks?
Wow. Throw me on the spot, big sis. I don't know. I'm kind of going, and me, I always take a different angle on it. I say rest. I would say it's more of it's a broad, complex, even cultural term to use in that sense, because rest is more individual. It depends on who you are and what you do for rest. Like how Jeff explained it, saying just taking a nap. I'm just saying, like, rest can be just disconnecting from everything in society and just having that moment to yourself. Not necessarily saying you have to sleep, but just getting away from everything where you can hit the reset button. Maybe it is when you want to, Your rest maybe you want to take a run. You want to do a nice run. That's maybe your rest to, deal with the complexities of society that we have today, getting away from technology. We were talking about, Shelly, you were talking about just being zoomed, exhausted. Sometimes it's just like, let me close this laptop. That may be my rest to get away. So I would just think of it in that sense, dealing with rest. It doesn't always mean going to take a nap. It doesn't mean always go to sleep. And that's not coming at you, Jeff, just saying, that could be what it is. So I think that's my view on what rest is. So thank you.
Ahney?
I think I kind of echo what Dr. Banks said. For me, rest is going for a walk and leaving my phone at home. And, my dogs are my life. I just have my dogs. So I lead them up and we go for a walk. So, that's my rest. And I think Dr. Banks said it best. Everybody's rest is going to look different. So.
And I think for me, when we talk about rest, especially for myself, I second Jeff because I'm always thinking. And so, I think rest for me was the moment when I was okay with being vulnerable and being able to hear another voice that usually I would have just heard, but being able to listen to that voice really became restful for me because I was able to take a lot off of my plate because I was able to surround myself with the voices that I was listening to that were actually able to help me balance when my mind was running too much. And so I was able to pull that back. So I feel that, acknowledging, especially being a Black man, acknowledging that it's okay to discuss your pain and be vulnerable to what other people are saying to you and truly listening to that has allowed me to rest a lot more.
And I know we've tapped into a couple of times, people have mentioned culture, and so your upbringing and what defines setting up a space just for you or, what's taboo. And a lot of conversation now, it's just, let's just normalize it. We all have some level of, mental health challenges or wellness, we're trying to reach, we're trying to, what do you talk to people about when you're when you're talking to them about, making it normal? These questions are around the workplace, but just not any specific place, but just normalizing it. Like, I just need some assistance or I just need somebody to talk to. And it doesn't matter whether you're Black, yellow, purple, or brown, culturally, growing up, you don't tell anybody what happens in this house stays in this house. And then you have to you have to relive the trauma all the time. You don't get to don't go out of this house telling anybody what's going on, or don't you say anything about what happened to you. And then here you are, a full-on adult, and things start to manifest and happen, and you can't connect the dots about why this is happening, right? Because you suppressed it for so long because we were taught to not share it. It doesn't go anywhere. Don't you tell anybody, those types of things. So how do we normalize that, regardless of whether it's the workplace or not, anybody?
I'm going to throw out, I think language is a pivotal thing. I think what society paints the picture of a mental health disorder or the words we use surrounding that mental health disorder, I think that's where a lot of people feel more reserved and don't want to share and don't want to talk about mental health issues. So I think on top of cultural, it's a language thing.
And I think being okay to check in, being able to check in and talk, sometimes you're not even checking in on anything specific. It's just checking in and letting somebody know that you're available, you're there, if they have a question, what's going on. I know me and Matt, we set time to sit on the porch, a day during the week and just talk. No agenda, but just talking. ShyAnn and Jeff, we all do the same thing. So I think just checking in is a good way to just normalize that everyone's going through something. Mm-hmm. But when you open that door, you can, it allows them to speak out because you've said, hey, I'm just checking in. What's going on?
Matt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think like two things came to mind when you asked that. The first thing is that I learned early on in doing this work that depending on what culture you're intersecting with, the word counseling will mean lots of different things. It also will be different across gender lines as well, because, for example, in graduate school, in this, I think this is pretty typical. I think the female to male ratio in my graduating class was like 8-to-1.
Wow.
And that's pretty common. And I also noticed it shows up in an interesting way when the referrals come in, like for marriage counseling, for example, 19 times out of 20, it's the wife that contacts me, not the husband. And I also noticed too that the word counseling will mean, like, especially in the male community, just for the most part. And then when you get into kind of more cultural differentiations, I've been using more lately coaching and counseling together to kind of communicate. Well, yeah, you need a special licensure for counseling and everything else, but there's a lot. It's like a Venn diagram with a lot of intersection in the center. And so just to kind of approach the whole idea of needing support or needing help from the standpoint of like someone earlier in the meeting today talked about destigmatizing it. And that's a huge passion for me, because just because we need help doesn't mean I'm somehow broken or less than, and so there's that. The other thing too is that, especially with working with guys, I find increasing emotional vocabulary is kind of one of the basic projects we're always working on. And that's one of the reasons why I love hanging out with Tamar, because you actually have a wider, more developed, emotional vocabulary than the average guy. And that it makes you able to connect with people emotionally and cross those barriers a lot more easily, and also just demonstrate through the way that you communicate it's okay to be a guy and talk about being lonely or scared or being vulnerable, and it's actually very healthy to do so. And so just and all of that together.
And when you think about it, just in sex, from a military perspective, being a veteran, talking about your mental health is a sign of weakness. Having an issue or a challenge, you always you can attest to this, just Ward 4, on the 4th floor of the hospital, it was instantly a negative. And so then you were deemed as weak, saying that you had some kind of mental health challenges, which results in you doing other things. And so not feeling okay with going and seeing a counselor, and then you get kind of categorized, and that just can shift your entire military career, and not being able to bounce back from that because you've been labeled, and so, Jashad,
No, Shelly, you already hit it on the head when it comes to the military. Once you go in, and I did counseling after both of my deployments, and, it was more of like having a chance to speak to someone about things I've seen and things that was done. But again, it's like, it's automatically on my medical record. Like, it wasn't like, I flipped out. I just were having a kind of conversation. But I was going to try to take a little different route on this, because that's just me as the professor in me. But even when it comes to mental health is even criminalized. I don't know why it's criminalized, but when I teach it in class, you have folks that may not understand that someone is actually suffering from a mental health issue, no matter what it is. Instead of actually asking them, are they okay? Can I help? They call the police. The police is not trained to deal with mental health. The first thing they'll do, slap the bracelets on them and take them. Now you create a worse problem, because now you're going, again, they're being criminalized. So that's something in society we need to understand, that there are people suffering from any kind of, from depression to schizophrenia to whatever else is out there. I don't know all of them, but we got to stop criminalizing it. Especially, it's worse for a person of color. So if it's a person of color suffering from actual mental illness, that's when it turns into a worse traumatic experience. Now it goes from handcuffs to you getting pinned down to you actually possibly getting fatal, because this person is actually suffering from something. Again, officers don't know what they're suffering from. So again, us as society, we can do a little bit better. Instead of quickly calling the police, assuming that this person is doing something bad, such as trying to rob a store or something, they may be literally suffering from some kind of mental illness. So that's I just have to take it a different route, because I see it daily, and it's just frustrating, because as I explain to students, as I explain to folks out in the community, law enforcement is not trained to deal with this type of illness. They're not. It's no place in the academy where that happens. So it's not good to criminalize someone actually suffering from mental illness. So
That's good to know. And I noticed Greg jumped on here. So Greg, you joined us in the lobby. We would love to hear from you.
I want to apologize to everybody. I have obviously come in right in the middle of a great conversation. And so, but from what I'll just tell you what it is that I'm kind of hearing, and as who was it? Dr. Banks was just talking about how the police aren't equipped to deal with folks that have mental health issues. It made me think about the fact that maybe I'm not that well equipped either. If I see something happening on the street, maybe the reason that I call somebody is because I don't feel like I'm equipped. So I think besides the police not being well equipped, many of us are not well equipped, and that's going to require, first off, I think being motivated to be better equipped, which is going to require compassion. And so that was one of the things that came across my mind as you were speaking, Dr. Banks, is that yeah, the police are not well equipped, and I'm probably not as well equipped as I ought to be also. So I need to know more and know how to handle situations better that I come across.
I think that's a great perspective to take. And I also think that what it does is it dials us back in to the fact that you can have a profession, you can have a certification. It may or may not be attached to lived experience, kind of like what Tamar's talking about before. You know, there's these lived experiences that we, many of us who are educated or educators may lack. But when you have that lived experience and you can attach it to learn, it really kind of elevates your ability to be able to see things differently. Yeah. And I think that the gift that we have is the opportunity to have these real conversations around how we actually show up as humans. And so so Dr. Banks used the word criminalize. So the opposite side of that is we need to humanize and really connect with people in their likeness and where they are. They are human, they are people. And, you know, so it could be someone in your family, you've probably grown up with it, seen it, and didn't know what it was, the challenges were, what to call it. So the word, I love that the opposite side of that spectrum that Dr. Banks brought up for us and criminalize is humanize. And give them the life that, give our communities the lives they need or the support they need and resources they need so that we can all thrive. And being able to identify that, and Greg, to your point, to take it even further, we really can also think about, as anyone walking up and down the street, we don't know. And we may not have the skills to identify it, but the benefit of having training, like what's being offered, by our ShyAnn, that ShyAnn's reached out, Dr. Lynn, that Lynn Willis sent out for us as well, and registering for those different trainings and just learning those different things as professionals such as yourselves. We learn and we gain knowledge and understanding, I think, is what kind of helps us level set. We gain knowledge, but we also gain understanding, and we have a different perspective on how people show up. So we want to stop criminalizing, we want to normalize, and we want to humanize people and circumstances. And we want to operate from a place of knowledge and understanding. Wow, that was good. How deep did it go in those groups? How did y'all feel about those small groups? Yes? Give me some.
What, Shelly? That group was fire.
It was?
It was so much.
Okay,
I learned a lot.
I'm about to just call on a couple of people before we wrap tomorrow, if that's okay. Can I just call on a few folks? All right, so I see Miss Gwendolyn's beautiful face here. Go ahead. Were you able to be in a small group, Gwendolyn?
Yes, I was in a great group, actually, and we came up with some really interesting ideas. And one of them is that in order to make mental health let's say, open for discussion, we need to create a safe space. So I came up with this idea, which would be really nice, is that back in the days when sexual harassment was rampant in this country, it became illegal. So we're saying is that it should be legal in our community to be able to be at work in an organization and discuss your mental health issues where, one, it's confidential, perhaps maybe talking to somebody who's a peer, and having it available on your insurance, as well as there was one other comment that we had made about it too, is that when you call in sick, not just for physical, but also for mental health as well. So our bottom line truly is that this safe space to where it was comfortable to share, to where it was confidential, and to where our insurances actually supported that along with laws. So we came up with. It was great.
Thank you so much. Mac, are you on here? If you're on here, do you have, you want to give us some insight?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I had an awesome group. Actually, Mandy was talking about the same thing Gwendolyn was talking about, having the insurance cover our mental days, just like a sick day, you know, and it was very enlightening talking to these wonderful people.
So I'm hearing like some human resources, some changes. If you are in HR, are you involved in SHRM in any way? Do you participate in the larger SHRM conferences? If you're not, like I said, change starts here. Policy, informing policy, bringing factual knowledge in, things that we want to remove that are hindering people's, hindering the growth and preventing, having some folks have lost their careers over expressing their need for counseling. Even though we have programs like, EAP and other things, I have family and friends in other states, because of their positions, they don't even use those resources because they feel as though they would be looked on and deemed as a negative. How can you be the principal of a school and need to use the EAP program for counseling? Because I'm the principal of a school. And we've been going through COVID. And even though you are the leader, something I want you all to think about, even though you might be the leader, the manager, the director, whatever, C-suite, you lead by example. So it's not so much that you have to share everything, but just knowing that you're doing something so that you show up better can help everything around you and everyone around you say, okay, there is no way that, no one's untouchable. Everyone has a moment in their life. It's just where that moment manifests itself is sometimes not controllable. So just thinking about all of this. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff so that he can say his last words, and then Tamar, and then I will close us out for the month of June. So Jeff.
Thank you, Shelley. I just want to say thank you to everybody on the People's Group that helped put this together. Thank you to our speakers, Ahney, ShyAnn, Elizabeth. Thank you for taking the time to come and tell us about your programs, and also just kind of give us some more information to help us, kind of start talking about mental health personally in the workplace, and just trying to make a difference. I think for the People's Group, this is something that we want to talk about more. We want to focus on more. We want to have resources on the website. Just support our providers better. Everybody that's in here, our community members better. So thank you for all of the work that went into this. And I'm excited to see where this goes.
Definitely second that. I think everybody on this call, I personally want to thank Ms. Lynn Willis for even bringing it up in a conversation and got it rolling, and the rest of that team jumping on saying, you know what, you're right. This is something that we need to discuss and that we need to talk about. And, I know Gwendolyn said it. We have to build that safe space, and this is that safe space to be able to talk about the things that we need to talk about. Sometimes it's always not about, it's not always transactional. It's not. Sometimes it just needs to be relational. You just need a place to actually just build and open your mind up and to just be able to just let everything go, because the better you are, the better the work is, the better the community is. And so I just need every one of you guys to think about that. We are not here to be transactional. If we network, if we support, if we win, guess what? We all get a win. But transactional is not the word that we use here. You know, it's relational, it's impactful, it's about the community and the commonality that we all have, but we all do this work great together. We all have super strengths, superpowers, and I'm so thankful that every last one of you guys are willing to give that work to this group, because we all need it, and we all know that we're great at one thing, but with this unit, we're great at everything to actually make the change in our community. So I thank this group. I thank all the resources that happen. I thank the conversation. Thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable to this family.
What's next, Tamar?
And, oh, you talking about what's next? Okay, I'm sorry, you threw me off with that one. I thought you were coming in. But what we have decided after talking to leadership, that we've had a hard 5 months of a lot of great conversation, a lot of things going on, and especially being able to end this with mental health. We have a meeting next month, which we're going to be talking about the onboarding and what that looks like with 2 amazing CEOs that are going to be coming in speaking. But the task force has decided in August for us to do a blackout, meaning we are not going to be having a meeting in August. We'll still be doing little things behind the scenes, but I'm not asking you to fill that time with another meeting. I'm asking you to treat yourself. Go get your nails done, get your hair done, go walk, go do something. Keep this date and time on your calendar. But man, you guys have earned it. We all deserve it. Go treat yourself, and then come back in September on fire.
All right. So that's just a hint on how we are initiating and exemplifying, modeling self-care. We have been firing on all cylinders. I want to recognize all of our leaders from all of our pillar groups and the tireless efforts for those who have come and gone and are still with us, the tireless and relentless intention behind the work that they do behind the scenes. If you've been a part of any of these groups and their meetings, then you know that work is happening, and activation of that work is also happening. So because of that, we wanted to make sure that we initiated that rest moment in August, that time away. And to Tamar's point, and like I have always said, do not be a gap filler with that time. Keep that on your calendar and fill that time with something that you need to fill it with that doesn't have anything to do with work, possibly. Just take that time, it's yours. So we just want to thank you for joining us for this June meeting. We hope that the resources that you have been given and the opportunities to connect and share those resources are available. I believe Jeff will follow up with an email with links and attachments from all the things that have been shared here. And we want to make sure that you know that one of the best things that you can do in 2021 is get your hands dirty. And I say that meaning that this is where we get into the muck of it. 2020, transition. 2021,